Hello there. Welcome, everyone. I'm Wendy. I'm your job search and executive coach, and here to help you take charge of your career and finally squash those job application crickets. Today, we're going to cover how your passions and interests can transform your job search. You'll walk away with actionable strategies to expand your network, maintain energy and motivation, which is huge in a job search, especially in 2025, and use your interests as a unique qualification to stand out when you're competing for the roles that you want. Plus, I've got a special cricket squashing cheat sheet. Say that 5 times fast. Cricket squashing cheat sheet for you at the end. Now, if you've been hearing crickets in your job search, show me some love. Drop me a cricket emoji. And yes, there's a cricket emoji in the comments. And if you're one of the privacy people that I love, great, then you drop it in the DMs. But if you can, drop it in the comments so I know you're here and you are ready to take action. Now, let's see. We have a problem here. You're hearing crickets. This is super common. I hear this all the time. Some of the things that are super common challenges that job seekers face: lack of responses to applications, feeling drained and unmotivated, struggling to stand out in a competitive market. Now, does this sound familiar? You've updated your resume, you've listened to all the experts, you've applied to dozens of jobs, maybe even pivoted your career goals, and still nothing, nada, zilch. It's frustrating, but it's fixable. So, why do traditional approaches fail? Well, first of all, it's 2025, people. This isn't your daddy's job search. So, over reliance on online applications, that's a thing. Going down rabbit holes with all the stories about ATS systems, that's a thing. Not leveraging human connections, that's a 2025 thing. And that's got to change. And focusing solely on skills and experience without showing any passion, that's got to change. Okay. So, our solution is to use your passions and interests. First, we're going to network expand with passions and interests. Your passions are your bridge to real human connections. Networking isn't just about LinkedIn requests, it's about shared interests. I would actually put that backwards, actually, if I think about it now that I'm saying those words when I was preparing for today. Put your interests, your passions and interests first. Connect with the people you know in real life through your passions and interests, or online through your passions and interests, but in other places on LinkedIn. Why? Because you don't know who they know. And you might be like, yeah, I play D&D with the guy, but they're not in my kind of tech. They don't know anyone that I need to meet. You don't know who they know. Or what about the people that you play music with? Hey, I'm a musician. I've made a lot of friends by playing music. These days, I make a lot of friends by going and hearing friends play music too. So think about that. You don't know who those people know. And that's the power of LinkedIn. And when you mix it with your passions and interests, that's where it becomes magical. So, yes, identify interests relevant to your field. Yes, that's true. Join communities, attend events, contribute to discussions around those interests. All of that is super valuable. But I'm telling you something else. And I want to share a little secret with you. You want to know what Nashville does better than Silicon Valley? If you're comparing the two tech worlds, I'll tell you. Now, I might be a little biased because I've had a program called Career Design for Your Whole Life for about 20 years. And in my 20s, I ran youth and family services for the YMCA. And my job was to make sure that parents could focus on work at work because they knew when their children weren't at school, they were well cared for in a program that developed their mind, body, and spirit. And the person in charge of those programs was me. So I've been about people's whole lives since I was a baby right out of college. Okay. So moved here almost 5 years ago. And the difference between Silicon Valley and Nashville, specifically the tech people in Silicon Valley and Nashville. In Nashville, people have whole lives. They have passions and interests outside of work. Music, art, community engagement, church engagement, and serious commitment to their spouses and their children. Yes. So passions and interests. When I go to tech events here, I find myself having conversations not just about the tech startup that person founded or is working for. I'm having conversations with them about their wife, their children, their music, their art, the things they're doing in the community. Passions and interests, people. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put one passion and interest that's aligned with your career. It's related to what you do. And one passion and interest that is outside of your career in the comments. And you can DM me if you want, but put it in the comments, people. Share some love. Okay. So now we've got network expansion. We covered that. Let's talk about energy, stamina, and mindset. So we did a whole session on time blocking, goal setting, energy, stamina, and mindset. All five of those things in my Best Path to Your Best Career coaching program, a job search coaching program on Wednesday. So we do three, count them, three small group calls every week. You get so much Wendy. So anyway, on Wednesdays we do well, a version of Weekly Wendy Wisdom. It's a weekly bonus training. And this week's was on how do you block time, whether you're in a full-time job search or you have a full-time job or somewhere in between. And we talked about not only what goals you set and how much time you're carving out and when you're carving it out and all of that and time of day that works for you, then yeah, that started to get into the energy thing. So if you're in a full-time job search, outside of say parenting obligations, how do you manage energy and stamina with regard to your job search? Because job searches are hard, especially the last 2 years. And so we talked about that. Super, super critical component to having a successful job search. A successful job search requires mental resilience. Incorporating your passions helps you stay motivated and avoid burnout or just avoid avoidance, which is actually one of the biggest issues for most people with their job searches. Now, if you've ever listened to me do my training on Rock Your Interviews, the inner game, you know that I tell you to do old YMCA program director, here we come, mind, body, spirit practices the morning of every interview. It's game changing. Do a whole thing. There's a picture of Barry Bonds in the slide deck if you've seen the slide deck version of it. And I talk about the fact that, yeah, I know everybody hates him unless you're an SF, but that's not the point. And I talk about this practice he had to develop his vision that I learned about from his ophthalmologist, or actually the team ophthalmologist. So anyway, I'm a mind, body, spirit girl when it comes to getting ready energetically for every interview. But when it comes to your job search, it's actually equally as important. So you need to boost that mental resilience. Incorporating your passions helps you stay motivated and get that stuff done. So make sure you're dedicating time weekly to activities you enjoy. That's another thing in the Rock Your Interviews. It's have fun within 3 days of the interview. Um, so once again, we're talking about two kinds of passions and interests. The ones that are work related, now is really a good time to really dive into those, especially if you're in a full-time job search, meaning you are unemployed, because that's a way to keep your skills sharp, keep things going. So huge thing. Um, However, the passions and interests not related to work are going to be what gives you the mental resilience to do the work of your job search. Super, super important. Definitely build a routine that includes times for breaks, for personal projects. Now is a really good time to spend some extra quality time with your family, whether your family is elderly parents, whether your family is your spouse, whether your family is your children, adult or still at home. Definitely take advantage of this time. The time is precious. Definitely. So, what I'd like to hear from you now is drop in the comments. What's one activity that energizes you? If you do it before you start your job search activities each day, you are energized and you're ready to go and you're ready to focus. What's that activity? That's what I want to know. Drop that in the comments or be on the down low and send me a DM. Okay, now let's talk about showcasing passions as a qualification. This varies wildly. I have everything from a former professional athlete going after sports tech to people who are serious hikers and their background image has them carrying this backpack that I don't think I could carry from one end of this room to the other, uh, to a 60-year-old climate change activist who we need to demonstrate that she can actually do incredible things. So the image is about that. To the triathlete, to um, to my artists and my musicians, those kinds of things. We want to do that. What did my background image used to be when I was an executive on LinkedIn, when I first joined LinkedIn? I had a picture of the San Francisco Giants ballpark. It's actually a gorgeous photograph. I don't remember the name of the photographer, and there's a lightning bolt coming down, which is actually really kind of crazy because like thunder and lightning is not really a San Francisco Bay Area thing. Um, and but I had that because part of my story, part of my passions and interests that I talked about on LinkedIn and actually still talk about on LinkedIn is that I've kept score at every baseball game I've been to since I was 12. I do not reveal what year that was, but anyway, um, that is one of the things that I always tell people to do on their LinkedIn profiles, whether they are a job seeker or an entrepreneur, because I do help entrepreneurs with their LinkedIn profiles also. So if you know anybody like that and they're like, I hate LinkedIn, I don't know what to do with it, you send them my way, I'll help. But either way, everybody I help, I tell you at the end of your about section to say, when I'm not doing whatever it is that you do, I, three things. There's three things that need to be very different, each of them targeting a different kind of interest and passion, so that one of the three is guaranteed to help you connect with the reader of your about section. What are mine? I've kept score at every baseball game I've been to since I was 12. I got the sports fans. And by the way, I just said that in real life to a couple of dudes I sing with, and they're pretty serious about their sports. This isn't a major league baseball city, but we have AAA baseball and we have a really good college team, and their eyes just got really big when I told them I kept score. It's serious cred, people. So I get the sports fans. Then I say I'm a classical choral soprano. Yeah, speaking voice is deep. I'm a soprano. I rock the high notes. So, what's that do? That connects me with the musicians and artists out there. It doesn't matter whether you're a songwriter here in Nashville or um, you love punk rock or you're some kind of artist. It doesn't matter what you are. It's one way to connect with the artists and musicians out there. And then I used to have a reference to bacon, cooking with bacon and butter until I had to give up pork. So, because it triggers fibromyalgia for me, not for everyone. You keep your pork, enjoy it. Anyway, so that was my third thing. So if I can't get you with the sports and I can't get you with the music, and then I'm going to get you with food. So now I talk about my dinner salons and cooking and things like that. So serious use of passions and interests because people, and I know I can hear the HR people saying, well, this shouldn't be this way. I hear you. Human beings are human. They hire people they like. Let people know who you are as a human in ways that are accessible and likely to connect with people. So we do that in our about section. Sometimes it actually even can show up on our resumes. Not often, but sometimes. That professional athlete turned sports tech guy, yeah, we have a resume where we talk about his sports background. I have on my LinkedIn profile, which has more space for this kind of thing. In the volunteer section, I have my entire resume as a classical choral soprano. All the really cool places I've sung, Carmina Burana at the Grand Teton Music Festival, the Berkeley Jewish Music Festival. I sang what I believe is the only opera in the opera chorus for the only opera in Hebrew. I think that's what it was. I've toured France singing. I've sung in 3 amazing church choirs in Maryland, California, and Tennessee, and I've sung in the San Francisco City Chorus. So, working on adding another Nashville-based chorus to that list. Um, so I've got that whole thing there. LinkedIn is a better place for these things. Resumes, we usually don't do it, but as I said, that professional athlete, we did it. I also have an artist and musician who is, we just finalized her resume yesterday, and we've got a fair amount of her art and music stuff on her resume because it's highly relevant and because the jobs she's going after are either in event spaces or organizations that are about arts and music. So her background in arts and music, important. Um, I'm not a big fan of cover letters. You write them when they're required. So not really a thing in my world. But sometimes passions can come up in interview answers as well. Sometimes also like the resume carefully chosen. Um, Sometimes, however, it's about how it connects you with the company's product or customers. And that can be game changing. So I tell this story a lot. Mechanical engineer degree. His first job he gets before he meets me, he somehow moves from South Carolina, where he went to school, to Houston, works in oil and gas, runs these multi-million dollar projects. I mean, sometimes I'm mind blown. Like, who would hire a 22-year-old to run multi-million dollar projects? But this 22-year-old was amazing. Well, he was amazing at 24, 25 anyway. So I'm pretty sure he was pretty amazing at 22. He wanted to move into product management. He wanted to move out of Houston. And he's the dude that applied to like 1,800 jobs. Talk about him a lot. And I mean, the work ethic on this guy. And when we start working together, um, one of the things that I have people do as part of their initial brain transplant with me, yes, I call it a brain transplant, is tell me about their passions and interests. And I also find out about like part-time jobs they had growing up and some stuff about their extended family. Well, this guy had worked every summer in high school and college for his uncle's contracting business. And so we're thinking about how to give him an edge for entry level product management roles. And we found this company that made an app. Who were their customers? Contractors. I'm like, bingo, ding, 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 ding. We have your in. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, so let me tell you about your typical tech startup, at least in Silicon Valley. Less likely here in Nashville. It's like, for the most part, the people working in venture-backed tech startups, the contractors they know built the extension on their house. You actually intimately know the business on a personal level because you worked for your uncles. It was a family business. You know what they dealt with running their business, and you worked for them. You worked in the business. And your typical tech startup product manager does not have that experience. This differentiates you from everybody else. It doesn't matter what fancy school they went to. He went to a pretty fancy school in South Carolina, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they started in software engineering instead of a degree in mechanical engineering. It doesn't matter if they actually had some cool tech company experience before applying to that company while you were in oil and gas, which is completely, quote, irrelevant to a tech startup. Guess what? What matters is you know the customer. So when you're thinking about passions and interests, expand that to kind of what do you know from your family? It could be game changing. And that could align with the company's mission and their target customer and their product. So if you've ever had a personal passion or a family story like the one I just told, show up in an interview in a way that really helped. Tell us about it. Drop that in the comments. Now, you ready for your homework? I'm kind of famous when I do in-person speaking events now and love doing them. So if you're listening to this, if you think I've got energy now, you should see me in the front of a room. So you've got homework. Are you ready? The Vanderbilt students I spoke to earlier this week did their homework and they rocked it. Okay, your homework. Step 1, create a list of your top 3 passions and interests related to work, your top 3 passions and interests completely unrelated to work. Identify 2 to 3 ways each one of those can help in networking, motivation, or positioning yourself as a candidate. Commit to taking 2 actions this week. 1 in the category of the passions and interests related to work, 1 in the category of passions and interests that are not related to work. Okay? What are the 2 actions you're committing to this week? I want to see those in the comments. I want you to have the experience of community accountability. Do the homework. Now, as promised, I've got my cricket squashing cheat sheet. If you've done your homework, reach out to me, say, homework done, Wendy. I want my cheat sheet. And you can do that in the comments. You can do that in the DMs, and I'll send it your way. Now, I want to remind you, what did we learn today? We learned how to squash those application crickets by expanding your network with your passions, staying energized and motivated during your job search, and showcasing your interests as a professional strength. Okay, do your homework. Whether you're catching this on replay or live, and then ask me for the cheat sheet. And if you would like a little bit more of this, helping you stay energized and helping you squash those crickets, reach out to me and let's get on a call and talk about how we can light a fire under that job search. And if you found this valuable, do your job seeking friends a favor. Share, follow, tag a friend, because the kindest thing you can do for somebody in a job search is give them a little bit of hope and allay you money. We just did that.